Hey everyone, I'm Minwax Steve. On today's video, I'm going to show you how I put a barn door right here. Okay, hopefully that cool camera trick worked and you saw a barn door there. Okay, so the first thing I did with this project is I planned for it when I built the garage here. So as you can see, I put a ledger board up top here and I sided around it and everything, so it's part of the project. If you don't have this already, it's okay. You can put one in. Depending on your siding, you can work around it, but you need to have some sort of structure up above to hang your rail from, so all the weight of the door can be hanging on the building structure and you won't have any sagging or any issues there. So that's the first thing I did. Now we're gonna go on to the hardware I picked for the project and the kind of door we're gonna build, and we'll step through it together as we go ahead and make this. Never done it before, so I'm gonna do it with you for the first time. Okay, so when it comes to sizing your door, one of the important measurements is gonna be the opening you have between your jambs. So in this case, I have 51 inches. So I'm going to add on 2 inches to either side of that to make my door exactly 4 inches more than that. So from 51, I'm going to go up to 55 inches for my total door width. That way it's always going to cover well, and it should look nice when I do that too. As far as the height goes, I'm going to wait until I have my rail installed to get a good measurement to the height, so I know exactly where it goes down to. It's going to come right down to the bottom of this corner post here. So I want to make sure I know exactly how that's going to line up with my hardware. Okay, let's talk materials for this project. So looking at the hardware, there's a lot of decorative barn door styles out there where the wheels are exposed on top of the rail and your rail is a simple bar. A lot of them are for interior, but there are some for interior or exterior duty. I decided to go with a little more heavy duty style, more like a actual farm type barn door. So I have a box rail here. This is just from my local Lowe's nearby. So with this style, you have all these other parts that are all made by the same manufacturer here. Kind of the key one here is the barn door hanger. It's got dual rollers and then a bracket that you're going to put carriage bolts through the door. This will just ride inside that track. Go back and forth nice and easy. It's adjustable with a long bolt that goes up and down so you can increase your barn door height correct. You support the rail with these rail hanger brackets. They're just very simple. They come with their own hardware. So they have a carriage screw that goes right through there, or a leg screw that goes right through there into the structure, that ledger board we talked about. So I got 5 of those. You have to put them every 2 feet. We have an end cap that goes inside the rail, and then I have a bumper that is made to just provide a stop for your door where you don't want it to go travel any further. So we're going to maybe use this as well. So, and then as far as latching it closed, I just bought a simple hook and eye latch, nothing fancy for that. And then I need a handle to pull it shut, so I found a gate pull handle and picked that up for this as well. So that's all hardware I'm going to use. There's one piece that I accidentally returned that I'm going to have to rebuy. It's a little bottom keeper roller thing. I'll try to show a picture of it here. So the purpose of that is to just keep the door from the bottom from flapping in and out in the wind or whatever. It just kind of keeps it in a line. So we'll have that installed there as well, but that'll go on toward the end once we know how it's going to sit. As for materials for the wood for the door, so my plan is to do this completely out of plywood, or at least 95% out of plywood. I have a 3/4 inch piece of plywood here. My door is wider than one regular sheet, so I had to add on a little chunk here, so it would work. The base is going to be low quality, just sheeting, 3/4 inch sheeting. It's going to all be covered up. And then for the finished surface, I bought a sheet of half inch BCX plywood, which means it's got a side that's not great, not 100% perfect, but it's sanded at least, and it's suitable for this kind of duty. So I ripped that up the long way into strips, different width strips on my table saw, so it would have kind of a varied plank look on this door. Hopefully you saw it in that first clip I made of the door, if my video magic worked. So what we have is, I did some of the strips that are going to be the full width of the door, so it's going to look like that. And then other ones, the cutoffs of those aren't quite long enough, so there's going to be some that are, they start at one end and then I'm going to cut a little portion and have a seam in the middle. And I kind of want that to give it the rustic look. So it's going to be a combination of sizes and widths of these things to make it look kind of rustic. And I'm going to try to not match up any of the grain so it doesn't look like it's all a sheet of plywood. I want it to look like individual boards, but I'm using plywood just to kind of save money. So that's kind of the design of it. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next step. Okay, so my ledger board out there that I'm going to hang the rail on is 112 inches. I want to allow for an inch of exposed ledger on either side, so I'm going to make my rail 110 inches. So I got that marked here. I'm going to go ahead and use a cutoff wheel on an angle grinder and make that the right length. Okay, we're going to hang the rail next. So I have all these straps to hang it with. They just slide on the end and you can position them wherever you want. They come with a nice leg screw to go in there. I'm actually going to trade those out for longer ones just because of the way my structure is. I need to get further into the wall to get some good, to hit some good structure. So I marked already on here where I want my brackets to go, so it has a nice layout to it and looks symmetrical. And then I'm going to go out there and pre-drill everything and then run those leg screws in. I did make a couple adjustments to what the factory says. They say every 2 feet you have to have a hanger. I'm going to extend it so I can hit studs. On the portion where my header is not as structurally sound toward the building, I only want 16 on center for studs. So I'm going to go 32 inches here for this one. There's going to be one here. And then over here 32 as well, and then I'll center these so it looks nice. Okay, so now we're going to take a closer look at the barn door hanger that we bought here. It comes with 2 of these in one package, and it's actually a really nice setup. So this hangs like this, wheels go in the track, and then this comes with a bolt and then 2 different nuts that go on it. So you string it like this and you have basically, I don't know, 2.5, 3 inches of adjustment to go up and down for how you want your barn door to hang. And then once you find where you're like it, this is where you attach it with these carriage bolts we talked about like this. So I'm going to go ahead and run this all the way up, put this thing in the door, and then see what kind of height I need to make the door to. So that's kind of the key dimension I need to get before I can keep working on the door. So I'm going to lay out all the pre-cut boards that I have to see what kind of pattern I like. Here's what my layout ends up looking like. I just kind of picked different widths here and there, lay them together, some with joints, some without. And this isn't all plywood. There are some in here that I didn't have enough plywood to use, so I just ripped down 2x4s and stuck those in there too. So, but everything's a 1/2 inch, so it all makes sense on the side. And you will see later on, I'm gonna put a end cap on this all the way around it to cover this edge and just for some appeal. I want to make it black, completely black on the edge like that. And then it'll look nice with the dark stain that we chose here too. So first we'll put a little glue on and nail it in place. Mark this other tube like that. And now it feels like I did way more than I come across. The hanging right here. And if you think that's cheesy, wait for the next step. You know that looking good. All right, Jude's putting some stain on here. We're doing a nice dark stain. I think it might be mocha, or what is it here? Honey, went with honey. It actually looks pretty dark. So he's doing that, and I'm over there painting the trim pieces. It's coming out nicely so far. We'll just keep cooking on it.
So we coated the wood with stain, and in like 5 minutes, we're gonna wipe the whole thing off. I can't believe Mother letting me do this. It's
so nice.
Now since we've wiped off the stain, we're gonna let it dry overnight and come back tomorrow and put on the varnish.
What is the varnish gonna do?
It's gonna make it shiny.
And waterproof. Door finishing is done. So the next thing to do is to put on the hardware. So we're gonna start with the roller bracket here. First thing you have to do is drill a 9/16 inch hole into the top of the door. It's not a structural hole, it's just gonna be there to allow that bolt, the adjustment bolts in place to go when you put it on. So I'm gonna just find a spot that has at least 4 inches from the edge. I'm gonna go with 8, which is right there. And I'm gonna make a pencil mark where I wanna drill that hole. So I wanna make sure I'm somewhere right in here, which actually lines up pretty well with the center of my door width. I'm gonna do that on the other side. I'm gonna be using a spade bit here, a 9/16 inch spade bit to get through it. So we'll go ahead and do that. Both roller brackets are in place now, sitting right where I want them. So I'm gonna mark and put the carriage bolts in, drill a hole through the panel first. I'll go ahead and do that now. I had to go with a 3/8. That should be fine. So these 6 carriage bolts are gonna hold the full weight of the door. So I wanna make sure that these are clamped on pretty tight in the back. So nothing's gonna come loose. And so it just holds the weight of the door, so. Well, I can't get it really. Hole. Cut off, they seem to be. There. It's in.
Looks really good.
What do you think the handle should be? What's a reasonable height for the handle?
Are you thinking right here?
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking maybe finding that narrow board.
Yeah.
So on the back side of the door here, I've still got these bolt shanks sticking out, and they're actually kind of thick. They're starting to rub on that area. They kind of catch on there. So I'm going to zip those off with the cutoff wheel and make sure that's nice and flat. Okay, so here we've got the door in the closed position, and the next thing we're going to do is put this, it's called a guide roller on it for the bottom of the door. And we need to find a spot where the door is never going to travel further than this, so it never has to be reset. So once it's there, it's going to be there until you take the door off or remove some of the stops. So I put this in the position I like it closed, and I need to find a way to get this mounted somewhere kind of like that. Because I have vinyl siding, it's going to be a bit of a challenge. I think I'm going to slide it under that corner post and up somewhere like that. And then you have an adjustment on the bottom for the thickness of your door, so you can keep it nice and not tight, but at least contained where you want it so the wind won't blow it away. So we're going to go ahead and work on getting that installed here. That there is what a door bumper looks like when you buy it from the store. And it would work great if I had some sort of siding that wasn't vinyl, but I'm working with vinyl siding. So these door bumpers, first on the vinyl siding, it's not great to screw through the vinyl siding. You want it to be able to expand and contract so you don't get waves. It's gonna be really hard to get this to work in my situation. So, came up with a homegrown solution here. I cut these blocks so they can fit right into the track. So it's gonna slide into the rail, the box rail, and then I'm gonna put it where I want the wheels to stop. I'm gonna drill a hole through the metal, through the wood, and then it's gonna go through that back side of the metal into the header that I have there. That will serve as my door stop. Okay, so I'm working on the latch now that I got the door stops installed. Looks nice there. I bought this large 6-inch latch thinking that's what I would need for this area, but it turns out it's going to be too big. It would kind of overhang onto this corner post, so we're going to set that aside. I happen to have this old crusty one that I saved from something. We're going to use it and kind of hope my wife doesn't notice, because I don't think it looks very good. But I'm going to put the eye screw right in there, and I'm going to mount this on the over here wherever it's nice and snug, and we'll be set to go. So I'm going to pre-drill that and screw it in. All right, now for the pièce de résistance. Trying to get to put the handle on there. I saved it for last because it's kind of the capstone of this project. I'm gonna put that thing right about there. Comes with its own hardware and everything. Just got to pre-drill it. Looks like I can leg screw that thing in place and we're good to go. Let's get it done. So it turns out they gave me one leg screw and one leg bolt. The leg screw is too long, it sticks through the door. The leg bolt is too short, I couldn't get a nut on it. So I guess I'm gonna have to use my own hardware for this one. Good thing I save all my spares. I'll find something that works. Okay, solution found. It's gonna be zinc plated bolts that go through there. It's gonna not match the black hardware, unfortunately, but it's what I've got to work with, so I'm gonna put that on. They're long, so I'm gonna have to cut them off with the cutoff wheel in the back again, just like we did with those bolts that were up top. So put this on, mark it, drill it, get it done. Okay, so a quick lesson. I saved these end caps for the last because I was planning on just putting them on the end as you would. I think they just kind of friction fit in there a little bit. Push them. Okay, end cap like that. On the package it says these can also be used for stops for the carriage rollers. So instead of my wooden solution here, putting those little blocks in there, you could have used these. I think it would just go in like this, drill a hole in your rail, put a bolt through it, and it's the same idea as what I did with the wood. I have two of them, and I'm gonna put them into stops and call it good. All right, my friends, I want to thank you for joining me on this journey of building and installing this barn door. I hope that if you have a project like this, that this video is helpful for you and that you learned something. I think it turned out pretty well. I'm proud of it, and I think it'll serve us for a long time to come. So thanks again for watching. God bless.